Good evening, everyone. Broken. Not dramatically, not in the visible, announced, everyone can see what this is costing me way that certain kinds of pain present themselves. In the quiet way, the specific, interior, nobody would know from the outside quality of someone who has learned to function, to move through their days, to fulfill their obligations, to present the surface of a person who is managing while something beneath the surface is simply not intact. While the specific place where you used to be has become a specific place where you are not. And the not is felt every day in the texture of ordinary things that carry your absence in them without announcing it. This person is living inside that right now, in the unremarkable middle of their daily life, which looks from the outside like the ordinary daily life of someone who is fine, while the inside carries the specific, quiet, ongoing cost of a loss that has not been processed because it has not been accepted as permanent. Take what is yours today. What resonates, let it reach you without the deflection that protects you from feeling the full weight of being genuinely needed. What does not, release it gently. But for those of you who felt something move when I said broken, who felt the specific, a complicated quality of someone who cares about a person who is hurting and is not sure what to do with that, caring, this reading holds something today that I think deserves honest attention. Let me begin with the only, because this word is the center of what is coming through, and it deserves to be held carefully rather than glossed over in the warmth of the broader message. Only is a significant word. It means the absence of others as genuine alternatives, not the absence of other people. Other people exist in this person's life, move through it, offer what they offer. The absence of anyone else who occupies the specific place you occupy, who produces what you produce, who reaches what you reach, who makes the interior of this person's experience of being alive feel the way it feels when you are present rather than absent. Soft sigh. They have looked, not deliberately, not with the cold, strategic eye of someone conducting a search. In the ordinary, life continuing, people entering and leaving way that happens when someone is simply moving through time after a significant loss. And what the looking has consistently produced in every encounter, in every conversation, in every moment where the possibility of genuine connection with another person presented itself is the same conclusion. Not this, not what exists with you, not the specific quality of being in your presence that cannot be reproduced by proximity to anyone else, regardless of how many qualities they share with you on paper. The only is not a declaration made in the heat of feeling. It is a conclusion arrived at through the specific and somewhat reluctant process of discovering over and over that what they are looking for is not available anywhere else because what they are looking for is you. Specifically, irreplaceably, in the way that certain things are not substitutable, not because they are perfect, but because they are particular, because what they are belongs to one configuration and cannot be reproduced in another. Now hear them, because this voice has been living in the broken place without an outlet and needs to reach you today in the form that is closest to its honest reality. I want only you. I need to say that first and most clearly because everything else I want to say grows from that, and I do not want the context to arrive before the center. Only you. Not as a declaration designed to produce a specific response, as the honest, somewhat humbling, entirely true report of someone who has lived without you long enough to understand with absolute clarity what without you actually means, what it costs, what it does to the quality of the daily experience of being a person in the world. Without you, the world is functional. I want to be specific about that I am not destroyed. I am not unable to live. I function. The days happen and I move through them and I do what the days require. And from the outside, there is nothing obviously wrong. But functional is not the same as whole. And the difference between functional and whole, the specific gap between a life that is working and a life that is complete, is the gap that your absence has opened. And that gap has not closed with time, has not become more comfortable with distance, has remained exactly the size it was when it first appeared, which is to say, the size of you. Oh, I am broken up inside without you. Not in the self pitying sense, I am not asking for your sympathy over a suffering I had no part in creating. In the honest sense, the something is not intact sense. The specific daily, I notice it most in the moments that used to be different sense of someone for whom the ordinary texture of life has a quality of incompleteness that was not present before and has not resolved since. I carry this not as a performance designed to move you, as the simple truth of what it is to be me without you in the way I want you, which is fully, actually, with nothing managed or rationed or kept at the comfortable distance of something that has not yet committed. Oh, feel the specific quality of that honesty, because that is not the language of manipulation, not the strategic deployment of suffering to produce guilt or obligation. It is the language of someone who has arrived at a place of such genuine honesty about their own state that the protective management of what is revealed has simply become unavailable, who is offering you the true report of what your absence costs, not to burden you with the cost, but because offering anything less would be a dishonesty that the connection between you does not deserve. Now I want to speak to you directly and with the care that a situation this emotionally significant deserves. Because receiving the knowledge that someone is broken up inside without you is not a simple experience. It carries weight. It produces things in the person receiving it: tenderness, possibly guilt, possibly the complicated mixture of being moved and being uncertain about what being moved obligates you to. And all of those responses are legitimate. All of them deserve space rather than the immediate management of them into something more comfortable. Soft sigh. Let yourself feel what this produces in you. Not the edited version, the actual version. In the quiet, honest, nobody is watching place where your genuine response to the genuine situation lives. What does it produce in you to know that someone wants only you? That the specific, particular, entirely your own quality of who you are has produced in another person a wanting that has survived the looking and the time and the ordinary process of life continuing and arrived at the conclusion that nothing else compares. What does it produce? Not what you think it should produce, what it actually produces in the part of you that responds before the thinking begins. Because that response, whatever it actually is the most important piece of information available in this situation. More important than the declaration being made. More important than the quality of the wanting being offered. More important than any of the external circumstances surrounding the connection. Your honest, interior response to someone who wants only you and is broken up inside without you is the thing that determines what comes next. And it deserves to be located honestly rather than managed into the response that seems most appropriate given the situation. Not obligation. Spirit is clear about this. The response that is being asked for is not the response of obligation, not the I feel responsible for their pain response that compassionate people sometimes produce when they encounter someone who is suffering partly because of their absence. That response, however kind it feels, is not what this situation needs. What this situation needs is the true one, the genuine, located, this is actually how I feel response that comes from the honest interior rather than from the place of managing someone else's pain into something more comfortable. What is the true response? For some of you in this collective, it is warmth, the specific, genuine, I have also been carrying this warmth of someone who feels more than they have been showing and who has needed the other person's declaration to create the conditions in which their own truth can finally be offered. For those of you, this reading is the signal that the conditions have been created, that what you have been feeling is wanted, that the only is mutual even if the only has not yet been said in both directions. And for others, the true response is more complicated, is not the reciprocation of the wanting in equal measure, is the specific, honest, I care about this person, but the caring looks different from my side truth of someone who is moved by the declaration without being moved in the same direction. And for those of you, this reading is the invitation to that honesty, not to produce the guilt of withholding, to produce the kindness of clarity. Because the most generous thing available to someone who is broken up inside without you is not a reciprocation offered from obligation. It is the honest clarity of knowing where you actually stand, which gives them the information they need to move forward rather than the ambiguity that keeps them suspended in a hoping that may not be warranted. Honesty in both directions toward both possible truths is what this moment is asking for, not the managed, carefully worded, let me not hurt anyone version of honesty that tends to produce the appearance of communication without the substance of it. The real kind, the kind that respects both people enough to give them accurate information about where the other actually stands. Someone wants only you. Someone is broken up inside without you. And the most honoring response available to that wanting and that breaking, the response that treats both as real and significant and deserving of genuine engagement, is your own honest truth. Whatever it is, offered clearly with the full respect of someone who understands that the person across from them has been carrying something real and deserves a real answer. Soft sigh. What is your real answer? In the quiet, in the honest, before the management begins, that is the question this reading leaves you with. Not as pressure, as the most important and most clarifying question available in a situation that has perhaps been living in the ambiguous middle for longer than it needed to. The ambiguous middle is comfortable for neither person. And what is being offered, the declaration, the broken up inside honesty, is the invitation out of it, into the clear, whatever the clear looks like for you. Step into it with your whole truth as the most honoring thing available to both of you, to the person who has offered their real state and deserves your real one in return, and to yourself, who deserves to live in the clarity of your own honest knowing, rather than in the managed ambiguity of a situation that has not yet been given the direct response it has been waiting for. Someone wants only you. And what you want, honestly, completely, without the management, is worth knowing, worth saying, worth the specific and sometimes difficult act of bringing into the open between two people what has been living in the private interior of each. Whew. What do you want? Really, in the honest place, that is where this reading ends. Not with a declaration, with a question, because the question is yours to answer. And the answering of it honestly from the real place is the beginning of whatever comes next. If this reading found you today, if something here gave language to a situation that has been living in the unclear and offered a path toward the honest, stay close. Subscribe and come back, because the story of what happens when both people finally bring their real truth into the same space is one worth witnessing all the way through. And the next reading will be there for every honest step of what the clarity makes possible.